Hello viewers, this is Paladin of Odin, and this is some more Magic the Gathering Online. This is another episode of the Standard Commentary Series. So it looks like we have a Mardu mid-range, maybe? He has a Seeker of the Way in play. He just played Gideon, ally of Zendikar. So the Seeker is now a 3-3 with lifelink. The other side, I want to say, is playing Sultai Ramp. We haven't seen a whole lot from him other than a Read the Bones and an Explosive Vegetation. In goes the Seeker for 3 damage. That'll take him down to 14. He's not in too bad of a situation yet. He can still afford to do another turn of ramp, especially if it's something like a Nissa's Renewal. That would get him 3 lands and gain him 7 life. And a 7 mana Villainous Wealth. So X is 4. He exiles the top 4 cards of the library, and he can cast any number of non-land cards with converted mana cost 4 or less from among them without paying their mana cost. So it is a Sultai Ramp. Honestly, I don't know that I would have fired that off so early. He hits 4 land. Ow. So a bust on the Villainous Wealth. Hopefully he has some other cards in his hand that will be good for next turn. If he mans up Gideon, that'll be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 if he plays a spell. If he has an Exquisite Firecraft in his hand, that would be the game right there. So he does man up Gideon for the 5/5 creature. He could also man up one of his Shambling Vents. It just really depends on what is in his hand. And if I had to guess, he probably has at least 1 Fiery Impulse in his hand, so kind of a dead card, though if you wanted to, you could hit Gideon with it and do nothing to Gideon but prowess up your Seeker of the Way. Just a little trick that you could do, should you be inclined to do so. That was 9 damage, takes the Sultai deck down to 5. Second main phase is Pia and Kiran Nalar. 2 Thopter tokens and a 2/2, and the Sultai deck has to win or clear the board. A Languish would be really good here, though Gideon would still kill him. And he concedes. And I don't know that there's a single card that would have saved him there. He would have had to be able to kill Gideon and clear the board. And I don't know that he could have done that with the mana he had available. So let's go to game 2. So it took about a minute for them to get into game 2, so that was 1 minute of sideboarding time. And if I was the Sultai deck, I would have sided in some direct kill spells. You know, thrown in some Murderous Cut and Ultimate Price, maybe a Ruinous Path or 2 if he has them. So, Majoring Network, put a counter on it. Because simple things like that would have kept him in the game longer in the last game. Also, not whiffing on Villainous Wealth, that would have helped him a lot too. But second turn Seeker of the Way for the Mardu deck, just like the last time. And another counter on Majoring Network. The Mardu deck, he has a pretty good matchup here. He doesn't have to worry much about clearing the ground. About the only creature that he might see out of this ramp deck is a Jotty Offshoot, but I don't think that he's playing that card. Seeker attacks in for 2, that takes him down to 18. But what I'm getting at is basically the Mardu deck, all he has to do is keep up a steady pressure on the Sultai deck. He doesn't have to get crazy, he just has to keep up the aggression. The Sultai deck, on the other hand, he needs to ramp out, on curve. He's sitting on turn 4 right now with 5 mana available. What he needs to do right here is play a land search. He fires off the counters on Majoring Network and plays Frontier Siege. He will undoubtedly choose Khans because he needs the mana. He will get 2 green mana at the beginning of each of his main phases. So this main phase, he gets 2 green mana. If he could throw down a Nissa's Pilgrimage, that would be great for him. And he does. So he's doing pretty good here. Solid acceleration. Back to the Mardu side. If he could throw down Gideon again, that would be really good for him. Oh, so he's playing 4 colors. So theoretically, this could be a Dark Jeskai deck, and he just missed his blue in the last game. But he does play a Gideon on turn 4, just like last game. So do I start calling it a Dark Jeskai deck, or do I stick with the Mardu? Either way, he's basically photocopied his plays from the last game. And that is a fine start. Prowess Step Seeker of the Way deals 3 damage, takes the Sultai deck down to 15, brings the... I guess we can call it a Dark Jeskai deck. Brings him back up to 20. Read the Bones from Sultai. Let's see, in his second main phase, he'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana to play with. A Nissa's Renewal would be really good right here. Herald of the Pantheon. That is something that I really didn't expect from him. What other enchantments would he be running? Palace Siege is a decent card. Monastery Siege, also a decent card. From Beyond. Okay. Another good card. He doesn't have access to white, so none of the removal enchantments. Yeah. I can't really think of anything else that he might be playing for a reason to have Herald of the Pantheon in his deck. I mean, these enchantments aren't that expensive, and he's playing a ramp deck. So back to the Dark Jeskai deck. Another creature here would be really good for him. You know, especially if it were something like a Mantis Rider or Thunderbreak Regent would be really good for him. Tapping for... What's he got? Fiery Impulse would be nice right here. Kill off the Herald, prowess up the Seeker. He could man up the Shambling Vent. If he can kill the Herald here, he could man up the Shambling Vent and Gideon and attack for 6, 11 without the prowess, 12 with prowess. Crackling Doom. Alright, that will kill the Herald, deal 2 damage to the Sultai. Prowess up the Seeker to a 3/3 with lifelink. He doesn't have the mana to man up Shambling Vent here. He mans up Gideon. So that will be a 10 damage swing, and the Sultai deck is down to 2. So his big move has to happen on his next turn. Whether it's Villainous Wealth or whether he's playing with Ugin or Ulamog, whatever his bomb is, he needs to drop it on his next turn. Unless he has Winds of Kalsisma in his main deck. But then again, he did have time to sideboard them in. Ultimate Price will kill off the Seeker, saving him 3 damage, so he'll be at 5. Still, 1 attack from Gideon and the game's over. From Beyond gives him a Scion token. Frontier Siege gives him 2 green mana. He plays a land, 3 cards in his hand. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. Another Frontier Siege. So in his second main phase, that would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 mana. And he taps mana and doesn't use it. Goes into his second main phase and throws down an Explosive Vegetation with just the mana from the Frontier Sieges. And now all the Dark Jeskai deck has to do is kill off that Scion token. End of turn. It looks like he wants to respond, and he does. Murderous Cut to kill the Scion token. And unless the Sultai deck has a counter, or a kill spell. Oh, he's responding. Something with Delve. He's Murderous Cut. He Murderous Cut the Knight token. That isn't going to help you. Gideon mans up to 5/5. And he concedes. There wasn't a whole lot he could do about Gideon. There were very few cards that he might have access to that could deal with Gideon. And he didn't have them. So Gideon would have gotten in for 5 and finished the match. So the Sultai Ramp deck goes down 0-2. So that was Sultai Ramp versus Dark Jeskai. And if you liked what you saw,